Having left the land of the Phaeacians behind, King Alcinious made provisions for one of his ships to take the hero back to Ithaca. He would never forget his host's hospitality. Odysseus was gripped by a deep slumber and slept through the entire journey. When he reached Ithaca's beaches of Dexis, the sailors had no courage to wake him, so they disembarked him with the gifts offered by the Phaeacian king. When Poseidon heard that his enemy had finally reached his homeland, he was enraged, and the sailors who carried the hero would pay a high price for dishonoring the god of the seas. Just as they were concluding their return journey, the ship of the Phaeacians was pulverized by Poseidon, who in a gigantic form smashed it with his bare hands. Upon parting his hands, there was only a large boulder in front of the Phaeacians' harbor. They had become a rock, and from that day on, the Phaeacians never again assisted castaways. In Sparta, Athena warned Telemachus that it was time to return home. The suitors planned to trap him on his return. For that reason, he was to sail at night and not head for the port, but to the home of Eumaeus, the man who raised him in Odysseus's absence. Eventually, Odysseus woke up and had no idea where he was. He feared that he was again in an unknown foreign land fraught with danger. It was then that a young shepherd boy appeared, and Odysseus inquired what place that was, and the young man said Ithaca. Cunning Odysseus, to disguise his identity, made up a story full of details which gave him a new biography. Meanwhile, the young man listened to his story with a smile on his face. At this point, the young man took the form of the goddess Athena, who said that his story was of unequaled astuteness, and that it would almost fool even the goddess of wisdom. The goddess told him that he would have to seek out the loyal Eumaeus and bring himself up to date with the situation in his kingdom. But first, he needed a disguise. The goddess arranged for Odysseus to adopt the form of an old beggar, and he made his way towards the house of Eumaeus, the swineherd. Eumaeus abided by the duty of hospitality and welcomed the beggar with warmth. The pig-keeper told him about how the suitors squandered Odysseus's fortune and intended to kill Telemachus and betroth the queen Penelope. That was when footsteps were heard approaching the house of Eumaeus. Odysseus understood that the dog gave no alarm, and so it must have been someone known. The young Telemachus came through the door and was greeted cheerfully by the pigman, who said the prince's name. Odysseus's jaw dropped, and his eyes grew wide at the sight of his grown son. More than 20 years had passed since he had last seen him. Telemachus told the pigman he ought to go to the palace to tell him secretly about his return. As soon as the pigman left, the figure of the goddess Athena appeared behind Telemachus, but only Odysseus and the dogs could see her. She told Odysseus that the time had come to reveal himself. Athena restored Odysseus to his original form, much to Telemachus's astonishment, who believed that the old man could only be a god. Odysseus told them that he was not a god, but actually his father, who had been missing for a long time. Father and son embraced, and many tears were shed from Telemachus and Odysseus's eyes. Odysseus wondered who and how many were the suitors who were trying to claim his rights. The young man said that there were dozens, and victory over them would be almost impossible. Odysseus instructed his son not to tell anyone about his father's return, not even Eumaeus and his mother. He said he should fear nothing, for Zeus and his beloved daughter were on their side and would lead them to glory. Again in the form of an old beggar, Odysseus went to the palace to beg among the suitors and know who they are and what their enemies had been planning.